In 1992, when I had just turned a year old, the second highest selling record of all time got released by Michael Jackson. I am doing a series right now where I'm reviewing every single mainstream Michael Jackson record in order. So I've already reviewed Off the Wall, and if you want to check out that episode, just go on my channel or to wherever you're listening to this podcast right now and check out my in-depth review of Off the Wall. But today we are talking about arguably one of the most iconic records of all time in Thriller, a record that comes off the heels of Off the Wall's success, but also off the backlash of disco in general. So the general public had kind of grown tired of disco. We were in a new decade in the 80s and the sound was changing. So Michael decided to change with it. Now, in his change, there's influences from pop and funk and rock and roll. And it created some of the most iconic songs he ever put to tape. And we're going to go through them in detail in this episode of the podcast. If you're excited, drop a like and let's get started talking about one of the best albums ever recorded. Michael Jackson's Thriller in itself is a vibe. When you're looking simply at the cover art of Off the Wall was Michael in his suit, little bow tie, hanging against a red brick wall. And it was cool. It was innocent. It was fun. Arguably his breakout record. Thriller. It's kind of a misconceiving album cover because it's Jackson on the front, just kind of laying down on the floor, kind of black all around him. He's got this dope white suit on. But I was lucky enough back in the day to have the LP of this, the actual vinyl of Michael Jackson's Thriller. And when you open it, there is a picture of a tiger right next to Michael, right? So just like aura from the minute you even look at this record, let alone listen to it. So the aura of it is there. Everything from the font that was chosen, the colors that were chosen for the font. And this is very, very intentional to add a bit of sexiness and to add a bit of just raw, sheer aura to the record that is Thriller. And so we start with what is, to this day, my favorite opening track, not only by an artist, or I should say, not only by Michael Jackson, I kind of ruined the punchline there, but by an artist in general. Wanna Be Starting Something is 6 minutes and 4 seconds of perfection. There is such a badassery that comes with that song, especially when it just starts with bop, 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 dun, 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 and it's just like you imagine, if you will, having the vinyl or the CD, or even like listening to it nowadays on your digital favorite music digital streaming service, and you hit play, and the first thing that you hear is not some like big extravagant opening or anything like that. You're not hearing like some big orchestral thing. The first thing you hear on the second highest selling record of all time is 3 snare hits, pop, 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 and then straight to a ridiculously awesome bass line that is so good that it repeats for 6 minutes and 4 seconds and you don't get sick of it. The bass line to Want to Be Starting Something is consistent throughout, which was like a signature of Jackson's at this point, where he would have an iconic bass line. Billie Jean would do the same. Beat It would do the same, where it's kind of the same thing throughout, and then he would just adjust his vocals through it. So it's not like it changed in the chorus. It's not like it changed in the verses or the bridge or anything like that. Nothing changed, right? Want to Be Starting Something is 6 minutes of that's it. That's it for 6 minutes. And it's so good that for 6 minutes you are invested, at least I am as like the listener, to this bass line forever and ever. Like all I want to hear is I literally walk around the house and just start my day with bop bop bop. It's so cool. It's so dope, right? And then you've got chords that go around that ba-dum, ba, right? So imagine one is your root, you're going down to the seven, ba-dum, right? Flat seven, I should say. Ba-da. Yep, flat seven, ba, right? So let's say, for example, we're in the key of C major. Instead of going from C to B, we're going from C to B flat. Ba-da, dum, 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 C, dum, dum, C, B flat, right? Ba-da-da-da-da-da, right? So it's in this dope key, right? That's not a regular major scale, okay? You've got like flats going on in here, right? I think it's a major seventh. I'm not entirely sure of like where which notes are flat, right? So basically, let's say, for example, we're in the key of C major. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the only note that's different, instead of B, we're hitting B flat. Right? Okay. So that B flat stays consistent, and it's in the bass line too. Let's say it was like it's B flat C C G B flat C G C, right? B flat C G B flat C G B flat C. Okay, I'm just talking about the bass line right now. I haven't even started talking about like vocals or arrangement or anything like that. But it just kicks in, and then Michael immediately says his lines, and it's so staccato and specific. It's like it's like there's no like ambiguity to like what he's saying or how he's saying it. It's like, you want to be starting something, you've got to be starting something. You want to be starting something, you got to be starting something. To high to get over, to low to get under, you're stuck in the middle, and the pain is thunder or something like that, right? And you hear the chorus sing along with him. The choir sings along with him. Yeah, yeah, to low to get under. Yeah, yeah. So you want to be starting something. Like, it's it's iconic. It's so dope. In fact, the Michael movie at the time of this recording came out a few weeks ago, and I went and saw it. Loved it. And they start the Michael movie. Spoiler. They start the Michael movie with a live performance of "Want to Be Starting Something," except you don't see it. It's just the credits. It's just like, Lionsgate presents a blah 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 movie with Jafar Jackson and directed by so and so and produced by so and so, and it's throughout the, like, you don't see a second of the performance, and I was in my seat like agitated that like I'm hearing "Want to Be Starting Something," and there's no video for me to like watch, all right, of this performance, because I love this song so much. I love everything about this song when Michael changes his his vocal intonation, and he goes like, you're a vegetable, and like all that stuff that he does with his vocals. Like, he very much uses his voice as not just an instrument, but like an effect. He does things with his voice outside of the typical like Shimons and like, I don't know what they like, little yells that he does. I don't know what he calls them. You know what I'm talking about? The he's and all that kind of stuff. Outside of that, even when he's like singing, especially one line when he goes, that part, like, you can tell like he's having fun in the vocal booth recording this part, right? Guitar line. I love the it's clean. There's no distortion. There's maybe a little bit of distortion. And then you've got like those harmonics in there. And then the one part of the song that I think is so weird, and it might have been an editing decision later, is when the beat drops and you hear the chorus or the choir go hee haw or something like that, and then Michael comes back in. It's not the cleanest of breaks, and it's not the cleanest of like re-entering back into the song. It's only for a measure. It's a half a measure. Right? But it's almost as if they're like, song's too long, we need to cut it like right here. And then they cut it right there, and it's almost obviously a cut because it's not clean, but it doesn't bother me that much. And then you get to the end of the song, towards the end, and we're doing that B flat C chord progression. Bass line is still doing the same thing it's been doing for 5 minutes at this point, and Michael sings the part where he goes na 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 Da 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 da. I believe in me, so you believe in you. Help me sing. And then. Whoo, I can't tell you how much energy I get when the choir kicks in with Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa. Like, I cannot tell you how how much adrenaline I get just from like Mama Say Mama Sa Mama Kusa, and it just goes. And then the best part is when everything drops, baseline drops, everything drops, and you just hear the claps with them singing along to it, and you hear the dun 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 Mama Say dun dun dun, and then it kicks back in, and Michael's just going nuts. He's he-heeing all over the place. I don't know what he calls it. He's doing his vocal improv on top of it, and then the song fades out. It is perfection. It is absolute perfection. And if that was the only song on this record that was any good, I'd still give Thriller a thumbs up, specifically for "Wanna Be Starting Something." But it's the first track. It's the first track. Okay, like if and I firmly believe, by the way, that when you're putting an album together, you start strong. You start strong. When your viewer or listener hits play, you want that first track to be a banger. Or if it's not, it's like an intro to the next track, which is the banger. You don't want to start off with a whimper because you've already set yourself up for failure. Want to be starting something. Oh, what an entrance. What an entrance, in my opinion. Michael's best opening track, and maybe the best opening track of all time. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think is your favorite listening track. Okay. Uh, Baby Be Mine and The Girl Is Mine are both really solid tracks. It's difficult to come off the high of Want to Be Starting Something and go into Baby Be Mine. Baby Be Mine has a fun intro, has a cool vibe. It has kind of that cool funky beat. I dig the chord progressions and I dig what Michael's doing in the song. It is not a song that I go back to again and again, but it is a pretty good example of what like a B-side of Michael's would sound like. Really, really good and good enough to make it on the record. Um, but it's hard when you come off the high of Want to Be Starting Something, and then it's like dum 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 dum. I mean, it's still dope, right? It's kind of got some off the wall vibes, excuse me, but it's really fun chorus in Baby Be Mine. And The Girl Is Mine, same thing with Paul McCartney. One of the slower tracks of the record. Um, you know, funny that like these two did a song together and then Michael went and bought the Beatles catalog. I don't know if it was shortly thereafter, but after, and he got the idea from Paul. So that's interesting. And then they had a falling out. The song's fine. It's not my favorite on the record. Probably my least favorite on the record. Which is saying something because, and maybe I'm just not a huge fan. I mean, I like Paul McCartney quite a bit, and I'm a fan of the Beatles, but it's interesting to me that the two songs that he collaborated with on Michael from Off the Wall and from Thriller are my two least favorite songs on both those records. So take that for what you will. But then we go into Thriller. I don't know what's been said about this song that hasn't been said. I don't know what hasn't been said about this song that I can say. Is again one of those songs where the bass line is consistent throughout the entire song. It's just ba-dum dum 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 ba-dum dum 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 the whole time, even in the chorus, except for um the one part after one of the choruses, and that part's different. Everywhere, every time else, it's the same. Everywhere else in the entire song, it's the same. And Thriller is a track that like it's just it's lived in infamy. It's lived in infamy not just because of, the song itself, but its relevance on pop culture. I mean, folks, they made a posthumous Halloween record for Michael Jackson, based off Thriller, okay? Just trying to milk his catalog for what it's worth. And that's the effect that he had, not only on the Halloween industry, not only on the horror movie genre, not only in the music video landscape in general, but on Americana as a whole. Like in the 80s, I didn't know one person who like didn't know like the Michael Jackson, I ain't gonna dance for you, but the Michael Jackson like hand clap, move your head to the left and right and do like the little shake and the little arm things and just the whole thing, right? I did lie. The bass line is not the same. There is one part in the song where it says bum bum and that part is dope. That part is dope. Especially towards the end, where you get Vincent Price saying the monologue that he says at the end. Uh, Thriller is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's one of those songs that will stand the test of time. It will stand the test of time. Absolutely. More so than any song that we've talked about so far about said record, Thriller. Is it a top tier, top 10 Michael Jackson song? I don't know. I think that's arguable. I think it's not his like best written song. I think it's his most recognizable song, next to a song we'll talk about in a second. But I think from a musicality, songwriting, even vocal performance type thing, I don't necessarily think it's like his top 10. But from an iconic standpoint, from a brand recognition standpoint, if you will, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. We follow that up with Beat It. Okay. This is the rock and roll territory that Michael Jackson went to. All right. So much so as getting Eddie Van frickin' Halen to come and do the damn solo, which is one of the most iconic solos in rock and roll history. And it's not on a rock and roll album. Go figure. But one of the most iconic guitar solos ever, next to like, you know, uh, uh, Sweet Child of Mine's guitar lick, or like, name a guitar solo, okay? Hotel California. Like, I would argue Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo in Beat It is like one of the most, you know, iconic guitar solos of all time. Top 10, top 20, I don't know. You decide. You let me know in the comments, but it's definitely there. It's definitely there. Beat It also, bass line. Same throughout the song. Right? And like think about it from a music theory standpoint, right? You had want to be starting something being like ba-dum da-dum dum 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 da-dum da-dum dum 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 Thrillers ba-dum dum 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 ba-dum dum 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 dum. Look at the decision that goes into Thriller. I'm sorry, that goes into Beat It. Where Beat It is boo doo 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 boo doo 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 boo doo 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 doo. Like that is a conscious decision to not do the same line twice. To like remove one note from the line the second time around. That is a very, very conscious decision. And it's a decision that allows the song to breathe a little bit because of the entire song, which is boo doo 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 doom doo doo doom doom doo 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 doom doo doo doom doom doo 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 doom doom. I think eventually you'd be like, okay, enough, right? The other two songs that have repeating bass lines have the luxury of being a little bit faster paced, okay, and groovy, right? Thriller is kind of a funky dance track. Want to be starting something is a pure just dance, you know, choir extravaganza track. Beat It's a rock song. So for a rock song, you need something so that your ear doesn't like tune it out after a while, especially when you're adding guitars and right. So all of that one note, do 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 do, and you don't hit that second note right there, makes all the difference in the world, right? When I was a kid, I didn't realize that he was like, show them. Wait, hold on. What does he say in the song? Where are you? Just beat it, beat it. Showing how funky and strong is your fight. It doesn't matter who's wrong and who's right. When I was a kid, I didn't think he was saying funky. I thought he was saying something else. I thought he was saying the F word. I thought he was saying show them how effing strong is your fight, which is would be kind of cool. Which is probably what he was like trying to go for. He was like trying to swear without swearing, right? And he didn't really like swear until Scream in History, I believe. I could be wrong. Let me know. But just saying, showing how funky and strong is your fight. I mean, I think that's cool. It's kind of like, tongue in cheek kind of way. I like being like, I kind of said the F word, but didn't really say the F word. Talked about the guitar solo, talked about the iconicness of the guitar solo, which leads us into track 6, which is arguably Michael Jackson's most popular song of all time, and that's Billie Jean. Billie Jean also, this is the 4th song with the repeating bass line. Like, think about it. Michael's showing us on the second highest selling album of all time. This album, by the way, just so happened to go like 35 times platinum in the US. 35 times platinum. For those who don't know, platinum means the equivalent of 1 million record sales in the US. 1 million. Thriller's done that 35 times at a minimum. Okay? Thanks to streaming, I'm sure that number is only going up, right? But 4 songs, Want to Be Starting Something, Thriller, Beat It, and now Billie Jean have repeating bass lines that are either a measure or 2 measures long. Want to Be Starting Something is 1 measure. Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, 1 measure. Okay? Thriller. Ba-dum, dum, 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 1 measure. Okay? Beat It. Boo-da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, boo-da-da-da-dum, boo-da-dum. For counting 4 fast, 4 measure bass line. Because the one note is different. Otherwise, it'd be a 2 measure bass line. And then Billie Jean. Boom, dum, 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 1 measure bass line. You can write a sick bass line that is 1 measure long, and you can write a song based on that, or built around that bass line, I should say, that is going to generate for you arguably the most iconic record of all time. Just saying, like from a songwriter or producer's standpoint, there's a lot to learn from Thriller's minimalistic approach. It might not seem like it's minimalistic. It might seem like they threw everything in the kitchen sink at this record, and they did. From a financial standpoint, they did. This record sounds phenomenal even today in 2026. But from a songwriting perspective, look at how simple these songs are at their core. Okay, I'm not saying Jackson's performance is simple. No, I'm not saying the performers who played on the record are playing simple parts. No, what I'm saying is the idea of having a bass line that is literally 1 measure long that repeats practically throughout the entire song. Let's just say 90% of each song, and you can build a foundation on top of that. Now, the pre-chorus is different. People always told me, be careful what you do, right? That is different. No. That is a whole different thing. And I'm glad he does that because it changes the listener's perspective of like, oh, okay, something's happening here. So in the pre-chorus, people always told me, be careful what you do, right? And from a bass line perspective, what's the bass doing? Whole notes. Doom, doom. Like that's all that's happening. Letting Michael shine. Letting Michael shine. Little synth, little dun, 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 like just little things right there. Mostly Michael, and even like his backup voice in there as well with the like with that I can't just embarrassing myself, but with like the high voice in the background. And then we get to the chorus. The Billie Jean is bum dum dum dum. It's like back. We're back. Da, 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 da. And then same bass line. It goes to the four. Okay, so we're in the one, the minor one. So let's just say we're in A. It's the same bass line. We're just changing the starting position of it. We're starting at the four instead of the one. I don't think I need to talk about the subject matter of the song. It's been talked about ad nauseum. Um, Michael's iconic performance at Motown, right? The introduction of the moonwalk based on this song. There's so much history that goes with this song, and I think, uh, you put a Michael Jackson fan in a corner and say, name his best track, his most iconic track. Billie Jean's probably the one, more so than Thriller, I'd say, right? But then we get to Human Nature. The record just is banger after banger after banger after banger, right? I mean, we have kind of a lull, in my opinion, with Baby Be Mine and The Girl Is Mine. Girl Is Mine, I guess I got, like I said, least favorite track on the record. But then you have Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, and Human Nature as track seven. Human Nature, originally written by the folks from Toto, but the lyrics rewritten to talk about someone who's longing to hang out in the late evening of New York City and just walk around. The city's calling him to come hang out, right? The city winks a sleepless eye. If this town is just an apple, then let me take a bite. Human Nature has such a incredible chord progression. I love how this song is written, and I love the feel of this song. This is one of the songs where it doesn't repeat over and over again, right? So we've got our chord progression for the verse, and then we go into the chorus. If they say ba ba change ba da 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 da, so we're just going like, let's say again, we're in C major, C B A G F G D D F F G C B A G, right? I mean, it's incredible from a chord progression standpoint, from a songwriting standpoint. I The vibe of this track is next level. The lyrics to me are okay. Uh, I like the verses. The story for this track is that the songwriter from Toto originally wrote it for his daughter because she was getting bullied, and when she asked why she was getting bullied, he said it's just human nature. People bully sometimes. So when he says, and if they say why, tell him that it's human nature. Why does he do me that way? Right? In the context of that story, those lyrics make sense. But in the context of what Jackson's singing about like longing in the night and all that kind of stuff, and then if they say why, who's saying why that you want to go out and like hang out in the city? And then does he do me that way? Who's doing you what way? I've always wondered this. I've always wondered this. And again, if this is something that like you can explain to me, please do. Maybe there's just something I'm not getting there. But that is not me knocking this song. Probably my second favorite song. I love Billie Jean and I love Beat It and I love Thriller, but I have heard them ad nauseum at this point, right? Doesn't make them any less amazing. I've just heard them a billion times. And so for me, like Human Nature, like if we're going off of numbers on YouTube Music, I'm just gonna point this out right now. YouTube Music says that I want to be starting something that has 125 million plays. This is on YouTube Music. We're not going to count Spotify numbers because I don't have them, but that's fine. Thriller has 1.1 billion plays. That includes the music video. Beat It has 1.98 billion plays. Billie Jean has 3 billion plays. So again, arguably Michael Jackson's most popular song being Billie Jean. And then Human Nature has 149 million. The stark contrast from the 3 billion plays that Billie Jean has, the track before it. Maybe that's why. Maybe I just haven't heard enough. But I adore Human Nature. That takes us to Pretty Young Thing. I love the chorus of the song. This is such a fun track. I want to love you, PYT, Pretty Young Thing. I love it. I love it. I love it because this is the first track in a while that we've had, which is like, it's got like this kind of funky feel. Like Baby Be Mine kind of had it. Want to Be Starting Something definitely has it, but it's fast. And then we've got Thriller, which is kind of a slower groove. Beat It, which is this rock and roll, but kind of a slower groove. Billie Jean, which is kind of a slower groove. Human Nature, which is kind of a slower groove. And then you got PYT, which is like this fast kind of funk, off the wall, Jackson 5 type of vibe to it. Absolutely adore PYT. Such a fun song. The bridge is dope as well. Okay? The bridge is dope. And then the balls, the sheer balls to end this record with a track like The Lady in My Life, which is such a beautiful, slow song that shows off Michael's vocal abilities, that shows off um, his performance and the overall just production of what an album like Thriller can sound like. The balls to start your record with Wanna Be Starting Something that includes Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It, Human Nature, all of those tracks that I named, and then to be like, by the way, the last track on this, what's going to be this iconic record, that's going to be this uh the zeitgeist changing record that is Thriller, is going to be a slow love song called The Lady in My Life. The balls. Because Off the Wall ends with Burn the Disco Down or something like that. And like, absolutely love that track. Bad, which is going to be the next record I talk about, ends, depending on the version you got, with either Smooth Criminal or Leave Me Alone. Both bangers. But to end Thriller, which is like this slow, kind of somber, romantic, like, dude, like the dude you're seeing on the album cover, that dude's gonna hit on you, and you're gonna get weak at the knees and fall in love with him. Just the sheer guts to be like, yeah, we're ending the record this way. It's like, all right, hats off, hats off to you. Michael Jackson's Thriller is one of the most, if not the most iconic albums of all time. There's nothing that can be said about it that hasn't been said about it. I'm just adding my 2 cents into the ether of like why I think it's such an incredible record, especially from a songwriting standpoint. When you look at it and you think about like what they were able to do with so much and yet so little, right? Again, when you look at it from just the foundation of how the songs were built, right? Again, not saying, do not misinterpret my words, not saying that like the songs are simple. They are not. But the nucleus of those songs, the nucleuses, the nucleusi, I don't know, is simple. Because you're just taking a bass line that's either one or two measures, or in Billie Jean's case, no, Vita's case, 4 measures, because you're removing one note the second time around. And the songs are built around that, right? Now, you have to have catchy vocals, you have to have catchy vocal melodies, you have to have, phenomenal production and phenomenal songwriting. And oh yeah, it doesn't hurt that you have a ridiculous vocalist in Michael Jackson performing the songs. Let's just put that out there, right? So it's not like I'm telling you you can go write a 1 bar bass line and record it and you make a hit song. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is when you break down the songs to its nucleus, that's what they worked with. Absolutely incredible. Let me know about your thoughts on Michael Jackson's Thriller in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this, please like the video or like the podcast wherever you're listening to your podcasts. I'm excited to review more of Michael's stuff, and I will review other albums as well. Talk music theory, talk shop about music production, my songs, how I put them together, tools and tips and stuff about songwriting, music theory, and all that sort of stuff. So if that stuff sounds exciting to you, because it sounds exciting to me, and I want to keep talking about it, do me a favor and like this video. Subscribe to my YouTube page if you haven't. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers. Very excited about that. And we're just going to keep growing. We're going to keep doing this. All right. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. Michael Jackson's Thriller is one of the best records of all time. Take care.